have here, nurse?
Patient Raz Van Vasily. High fever running on 3 days. Complaints of dizziness, muscle aches, and head pain. Diagnosed with influenza.
Razvan Vasily was infected by Spanish flu, but also has the highly unstable blood of the Skulls. Is the London vampire epidemic transmitted through the flu?
Are you alright, Doctor?
Evening, Edgar. Could I get your professional opinion?
Please speak, but I have something important to tell you.
This strain of flu, it's very different from the one I saw in Europe. It's downright peculiar.
Really? What makes you say that?
I've just looked at the blood of one of our recently deceased.
I see. Do you have anything more to go on?
This disease spreads and looks like the Spanish flu, but its effects differ greatly. The London strain is different from the continental one.
This is very interesting. Did you find something else?
Yes. Unlike the flu, the infected begin to show an increase in outwardly aggressive behavior. More than simple agitation. Once docile people become violent.
You mean like rabies? Is there a chance we could create a vaccine, Jonathan, like Pasteur? By the stole, that would be smashing.
There's a lot we're not seeing here. But it is spreading, and quickly. If we don't act, the whole city could be lost.
But Jonathan, we've a fantastic opportunity sitting right here in front of us. A weapon of choice.
What on earth do you mean?
Why, you, my dear boy. With your expertise and your blood, we could isolate the properties that course through your veins. Think about the possibilities.
But the risk of infection using vampire blood could compound the situation.
I know, but your blood now carries remarkable regenerative properties. With our minds and your blood, there's nothing we couldn't cure.
We'll discuss this more later. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you, Jonathan. But as I said, I needed to talk to you. I have some rather bad news.
Yes?
I'm afraid it's your sister.
My sister?
She's to be buried this evening at Whitechapel Cemetery. Your mother published the obituary this morning.
I see.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. Please accept my condolences.
I need to talk to you, Edgar.
Please do so.
Do you know anything about the vampire hunters in the East End?
Without a doubt, it's the Guard of Prewen. Zealots to the last man.
They're definitely well organized and equipped.
They're extremely dangerous and not to be trifled with. To them, you're a feral beast, and I, your accomplice.
Do you know anything?
Without a doubt, it's the Guard.
Where do they come from?
Once they shared the Brotherhood's ideology on non-intervention, but they concluded vampires were a scourge.
Nurse Crane will not be returning to Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, really? Did something happen? She seems such a very capable woman.
She was blackmailing Lady Ashbury. Thought she was murdering patients as some sick upper-class game.
Nurse Crane was playing a dangerous game. She's lucky Lady Ashbury abhors violence.
So you manage a hospital financed by a vampire?
Yes, Pembroke was founded by Lady Ashbury. She's also our largest donor.
If I may inquire, how did you meet her?
Well, Jonathan, she sought me out and offered me the position. It's been a very profitable partnership for both parties.
A convenient yet expensive way to have a fresh supply of blood on hand, day and night, don't you think?
All vampires drink blood by nature. Me, I praise the lady's exemplary moral fiber.
We'll talk later. I never thought I would have to attend my murdered sister's funeral. Mary, I can't forgive myself. I'll find the truth about what happened to us. I swear.
Please, sir. Can't let you through. Over there! There's one of them burning! It's one of them! Christ! He's dead!
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move.
Stupid beast! Fuck, he's dead!
In this letter, Mortimer Goswick does nothing to hide his desire to die. I could give it to his mother, but doing so would betray his trust. It's locked.
Stupid beast! He's being bitten! Fuck, it's fast!
Hello again, Mr. Thatcher. Do you feel any better now?
Yes. This neighborhood may stink of dog shit and reek of piss, but to me it smells like the purest mountain air.
Mr. Thatcher, do you have a job?
No. Since I came back from the war, I spent most of my time and energy just trying to forget.
I understand what you mean. I was a soldier too.
No. Nobody can truly understand what I've gone through.
Why were you locked in that sewer? What happened?
I went by the canal after an argument with a friend. Got chased by these fucking wankers and had to barricade myself in, despite my claustrophobia.
Tell me about your claustrophobia. Has anyone given you an official diagnosis?
That's what the bloody doctor said. But I don't want to go to a hospital to get checked again. I'll deal with it my own way.
Why did you run? What was the reason for your argument?
Newton wanted me to go to a hospital, but I can't stand being closed in. Makes me feel like I'm suffocating.
Oswald, why did you not go to the Pembroke Hospital to seek medical help?
I don't trust doctors. All they care about was their careers and processes. I won't be locked in any room again, by anyone.
Your fear of being trapped is not going to go away by itself. You need professional help.
I've seen enough butchers in white coats to last a lifetime. Hospitals reek of chemicals and death. What I need is fresh air.
Do you want to talk about why you have this fear of being enclosed, Mr. Thatcher?
No, I really don't.
An irrational fear like yours is usually rooted in a specific event. Perhaps it would help to talk about it.
Well, Doctor, take a guess then, if you're so interested in my case.
When I rescued you, you expressed joy at seeing the sky again. So I'm inclined to believe you were trapped or buried somehow. Maybe during a shelling.
Jeez, you're good, Doc. You're really good.
Go on, please. Tell me more about it.
Newton and I were trapped in a circulation tunnel after an artillery attack. We were buried alive for several days without ever knowing if we'd be found.
Oswald, tell me about what happened when you were buried in that tunnel with Newton.
It was more than dark. It was black as pitch. Hours seemed like days, and days like months. Oh, the terror, the shameful thoughts. Lord have mercy.
Shameful thoughts. Tell me about them.
At some point, I don't remember which day, but when I thought we'd never be rescued, that this would be our end, I thought about...
Say it, Mr. Thatcher. If you ever want to heal, you have to say it.
Yeah, I thought about what I could do to survive. Just for a few more days. I thought about killing Newton. Killing and eating him. The man I fucking love.
What you endured was terrifying. It would have completely destroyed weaker men.
It did not destroy Newton.
Tell me about your true feelings for Newton.
I love him. I'm not ashamed to say it. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. I can't imagine life without him.
I admire your honesty. It takes courage to stand up to society. The world needs people like you to create change.
Courage is what we needed in the trenches, looking death in the face every day. I speak plain. I speak my mind.
Have you always been this straightforward?
All I know is, before you saved me by the sewer, my only regret was I wouldn't be able to hold or kiss Newton again. I love him, that's all.
Why should you be ashamed?
I'm not, I said. But Newton sees it differently.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself. Hello again, Mr. Blight. I'm happy to see Mr. Thatcher is safe, for now.
I'm eternally grateful, Doctor. We were total strangers and you helped us anyway. Can't thank you enough, sir.
Why do you stay here now that Mr. Thatcher's back?
It's complicated. Since the war, Oswald's been really nervous with the idea of entering any hospital. And me, I've got my own issues.
Can you speak about them?
Rats, sir. Even seeing one, they turn me. Just want to run. It's that fear that stopped me from going after Oswald when he left.
What can you tell me about the war, Mr. Blight? If you want to speak about it, of course.
War was... well, you know, sir. The stench of death everywhere. Your mates lying bleeding in the mud. Just praying to make it through and get home. Bloody nightmare.
I fought in France, too. I served as a field surgeon, but it was not uncommon to repel an assault, especially at night.
Yeah. The first time I was wounded, I had to protect the infirmary from hostiles. Twice.
Did you know Oswald Thatcher before the war?
No. We met in the battlefield. I think we were in the same boat to France. We've stuck together ever since.
You are always welcome at the Pembroke Hospital. As a former officer, I'll be honored to welcome a fellow veteran.
I'm not giving up on bringing Oswald back to the hospital. I just need to convince him that he needs some help.
Perhaps he needs to reach that decision by himself.
Could you speak to him? He doesn't usually listen to doctors, but perhaps because you've been through it, you can talk him round.
Do you need medical attention, sir?
No thanks, sir. Unless you're able to get rid of every rat in London.
You and Oswald were buried alive during the war. Tell me about it.
Yeah. It was last summer. A shell hit our trench and we were buried for a week.
How did you survive for a week?
Luckily for us, there were rations and water in the tunnel. It was an outpost, see. Since then, Oswald's not keen on being inside for too long.
Oswald seemed far more traumatized than you by the event.
It wasn't the first time it happened to me. Surviving it again gave me strength. You believe that?
How do you feel about Oswald, Thatcher? You are more than friends, aren't you?
I love him. I love Oswald. We knew we wouldn't survive the war without each other. But I am terrified, Doctor.
What frightens you so much?
What if people find out? Oswald says I'm ashamed, but it ain't that. It's more, well, you know, I never thought I'd love a man.
Enjoy your love. And enjoy life as long as you can, Mr. Blight. Don't let anyone tell you who you should love or how you should love them.
I appreciate your kind words, sir. But it ain't that easy. It's all so new to me.
What caused your phobia of rats, Newton?
It happened last year following an artillery attack. I was trapped for 2 days in a hole under 2 dead soldiers. And there were rats.
Go on.
It started eating me as soon as I dozed. Gnawing at my ears, my fingers, lips. I couldn't move. Couldn't call for help.
I see.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it is to wake up buried under bodies. Fucking vermin eating your flesh. Oswald. He found me and saved me.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself. It's locked, all right.
Damn it! Why is this so difficult every time? That is better. That is better. I will make it through one more night.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have retrieved your letter, Mr. Goswick. I can assure you that nobody read it but me.
Thank you. This is for you, then. For your help. And for your silence.
I think you should talk to your mother. It would be good for both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Reid. I'll think about it. Now please, let me be.
I've read your letter, Mortimer. You wrote about an unbearable feeling of despair, while the world crumbles around you. Tell me more about it.
There's nothing more to say, really. It's hurtful, it's unbearable, and I don't ask anyone to understand what I feel.
Despair is a deadly poison I've tasted myself, sir. We're only tempted to drink it because we're terrified by the uncertainty of the next minute.
I know that perfectly, Doctor. For I waited for so long, hoping that the next minute would be less unbearable.
Admit it, Mortimer. Your mother had you hospitalized here because you tried to kill yourself.
Yes, it's true.
All right, then. This is the first time we've really shared information about your case. Shall we call this progress?
Call it what you want, Dr. Reid.
You can trust me. I won't report you to the authorities. My one and only concern is your health.
I guess I should thank you, then.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'll let you get some rest, then.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Mortimer is extremely vague as to his motivations for committing suicide. Tell me more about what you know.
As you say, Mortimer had no reason to die. All he said to me was that he wanted to make the world a better place, but couldn't.
Why did your son feel so useless when facing the world?
I think it was more that he could only see the melancholy facets of life. He couldn't help but dwell on such things.
What do you think he meant by making the world a better place?
Mortimer has always been a sensitive soul. He wouldn't talk to anyone for months after his father passed. It's like he carries everyone's sadness with him.
Good evening, sir.
Do you realize your son could try to kill himself again? He might succeed next time.
I think about it every minute. But I won't stop fighting for my son's future. That's how much I love him.
You're right. Your son's death was not fatal. And unlike many on their own, he is lucky to have you by his side.
I can't give up on him. I just can't. I have conceded many times in my life, but giving up on my son is something I am incapable of.
I have read your son's suicide note. It was not an impulsive gesture, nor was it his first attempt.
He threatened to kill himself a few times before. But I never thought he would dare to punish me this much.
Punish you? Why?
I've known for a long time he was not happy with his life. But I always hoped he cared enough to avoid making me suffer like this.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Never could keep anything from her.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
I will not let you down, my boy. Come now, we can handle this.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reid. Can I be of any help?
I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and the owner is missing. All I found was your order.
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate they're ready to burgle a shop for drugs.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests on hopeless cases. Without success, I must admit.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reid? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiments, I may try to gather these substances, and even help improve upon the mixture.
That's all I'm asking for, Dr. Reid. That's all I'm asking.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. I can't let Strickland put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Tell me the truth about your appointment as a medic during the war, Rakesh.
The regiment administration appointed me by mistake. I had to learn the job on the spot, sir. Very hard, sir, but I rose to the challenge.
You can't impersonate a doctor. You can't improvise a medical education. People could die at your hands.
You're absolutely right, sir. But as a field surgeon, it was more like being a butcher.
Do you believe you have really helped these people?
My ratings were within the averages of the regiment. I saved lives, Dr. Reid. Does that not say enough about triage and war surgery?
Do you realize how many soldiers died because of that decision? You should have refused.
Yes, sir. I swear I did, sir. But no one listened. When the first wounded arrived, I had to do what I could.
It is an unbelievable story, Mr. Chadana.
It was a time beyond belief, Dr. Reid. but I'm happy not to deal with the wounded. I prefer caring for the dead now.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful.
Giant morgue disguised as a hospital.
I cannot enter. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reid. Can I be of any help?
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reid.
Tell me, Waverley, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Other people may say that's too conservative a point of view.
Conservative? And what are you going to say to Mr. Fiddick if he loses his arm because of the operation? Because that's what's going to happen if the surgery is a failure.
Do you think Dr. Strickland has any chance of curing the Spanish flu by himself?
His wish to cure the sick is not driven by pride, but by an idealistic view about our mission here. Honestly, I don't know which is worse.
You consider him a good practitioner, yet you will not report his methods.
Strickland may be a rival, but I will not use dirty tricks or regulations to prove him wrong. We are doctors, not politicians.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
I have wasted too much energy for so little result.
Another night with the glorious battalion of Pembroke.
I was young again. Just a dozen years or so.
Good evening, Dr. Tippets.
Dr. Reid, any good news to share?
I know you're taking drugs, Corcoran. Why take such a risk?
I need it to endure the long shifts. We have no idea how long the epidemic will last. We can't let it win.
I understand the gesture, Doctor. An immediate answer to an emergency situation, but this can't be a long-term solution.
Thank you for your understanding, my dear colleague. And be assured, I have total control of my consumption.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippets. Good evening, Nurse Branagan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me, Nurse, did you know Dr. Tippets was addicted to medication?
I suspected this behavior for some time, but never dared to ask him about it. Until the day he confessed to me.
Do you approve of his addiction?
Of course I don't approve. But I understand he needs it to fight the exhaustion. Let's hope he'll stop injecting himself once the epidemic is over.
And what if he doesn't?
Then we'll have to convince him to stop. I believe he's still in control of his addiction, for now, but we must remain vigilant.
Why would he confess to you about his addiction, Nurse Branagan?
Don't you know you doctors can't hide anything from a nurse? We're always there, even if you don't notice us.
Do you consider yourselves our confessors, Nurse Branagan?
I wouldn't dare, Dr. Reid. But I'm intrigued. How did you discover Dr. Tippets' secret?
What can I say? I seem to have a knack for discovering secrets.
And for hiding them as well.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Is this supposed to be an hospital? A pig sty would smell better.
Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? The chest was originally open to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippets' anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then, he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. It's locked, all right. Good evening, Nurse Branagan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me what Dr. Tippets did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippets would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Branagan.
Look around you, Dr. Reid. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippets in our situation?
Perhaps you did it with the best intentions, Nurse Branagan, but you took a great risk. Must I remind you that a man died?
You mean you've never made a mistake? Never covered your tracks? Come on, Doctor. I wasn't born yesterday.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Another night.
Good evening, Dr. Tippets.
Dr. Reid, any good news to share?
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
I will cover for you, Dr. Tippets, by keeping what happened to Mr. Connor to myself.
I don't know what to say, actually. I can't exactly force you to become my accomplice.
You didn't force me. This is my decision to make. I believe you're still of use to the hospital, considering the situation.
Then I can make you this promise. As soon as the epidemic is eradicated, I will resign.
What will you do after your resignation? Do you have a plan?
I always fancied visiting Cyprus. Such a beautiful island. I could buy a house there, by the sea. Read poetry and wait for death.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippets. Good evening, Nurse Branagan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance. Strickland's project could be dangerous. I have a mind to report him to Dr. Ackroyd. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reid. Can I be of any help?
I have managed to improve the mixture by diluting it. Have you ever heard of Sir Joseph Francis Olive, or the placebo effect?
No, I don't think so. Why?
A placebo is a substance or procedure that has no actual physical effect.
You made a placebo of my project. Why?
Research has established that a placebo, as long as the subject believes in the effect, can provoke a positive physiological reaction.
Really? That's fascinating. And you want me to, what, administer the placebo and see what occurs?
Something like that, yes.
Well, I'm a bit surprised, but I trust you, Dr. Reid. Please take the key to my cabinet and put this placebo there for future use.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Sweet girl. Reads me like a book. This shift never could keep anything from her. Fear and disgust on every street corner.
It's locked. It's locked, all right. At least Strickland can't kill anyone with this formula. It's locked.
seems to be falling apart. But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
How long must I wait?
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Your mother won't let you down, Mortimer. Don't you share her hope for a better future?
No. I don't.
Won't you even try?
Do you want me to promise you I'll get better? Do you want me to tell her the same thing? I could, but it would not change anything.
This hospital seems to be falling apart. But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Your medical report says you're not affected by the Spanish flu. What do you think of that, Mortimer?
Does it make me happy? Not in the slightest. If it was up to me, I would have left this place long ago. I know I don't belong here.
And why do you think you don't belong here?
I know the staff have more important things to do than look after me. There's plenty of patients here who need their attention.
I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
I've read your son's medical report, Beatrice. It's not the flu or anything life-threatening. What has you so worried?
He was at death's door when he was brought here. I just want him to be better as soon as possible.
He's not out of the woods yet, you know. He might need to stay here longer than expected.
Take care of him then, Dr. Reid. People here only seem to focus on contagious patients. I worry my poor Mortimer will be neglected.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book. I never could keep anything from her. I will not let you down, my boy.